Okay, everybody, I am going to do my craft room, but I thought I'd show you this small bathroom down here because it is decorated for Halloween. It's tight, so it's small and it's hard to film. But you can see cute towels. Love all those towels. These little things I made using some old crepe paper. Cute little bunny. That's another hand-painted piece we got on eBay. This cat is done by the same lady that did the lamps upstairs, the Halloween lamps. That came from a yard sale years ago. And of course, all the vintage sand pills are in this room. And that was another piece from eBay. And here is another witch. That came from a yard sale. This is my craft room, and it kind of stays a mess most of the time, but I'm sure you all that have a craft room will understand that. But there are a lot of pieces we got this year at yard sales that have made their way to this room. And one of my favorites is this cubbyhole piece. I knew right away that I wanted to use it for a witch's apothecary, and it just worked out perfect. And beside it, there's those little drawers that we got at a yard sale this year. There's that little Aladdin watering can. Came from a yard sale this year. I had so much fun doing this display. Get over here so you can see it a little better. That's a vintage game back there. And I did this after I found this wonderful frame. It just lent itself to a spooky witch. The Good Witch, or the Cooking Witch, Good Luck Cooking Witch, that came from a yard sale, and that is a vintage piece, and I just stuck those green hands in it. This was a little shoe form we got at a yard sale, and I just simply tied a bow and some old keys on it. The Gypsy Witch fortune-telling cards, those are old. I made that little book last year. And he's a piece we've had before, the crow on the books. And right here, there's that wonderful broom, and there's the broom parking sign. And I took that giant jar that we got and filled it with moss and the skeletons and the hands. Okay, back to the cubby holes. I used one of those hands that came from Michael's several years ago and put that eyeball in it that came from Michael's. That's one of the bottles I made. I think that was a couple years ago. That's moldy grapes. Every witch needs moldy grapes in her potions. And I just used a lot of moss. There's an old clock face. The Scrabble pieces I spelt out scary. One of our vintage pumpkins. Crushed skull dust. I know that's something all witches need. Used one of my flower frogs and put that adorable little thing I ordered on Etsy years ago. One of my crayons, and one of the keys I made. Another bottle that I did. Up here are a lot of bottles that I created several years ago. I love that black cat conditioning powder. Crow nails. Magic cat potions. And of course the poison apple. And there's that little shaker bottle that we got this year. More bottles that I did. And I love this human eyeball. And stubborn spell scouring powder. I love making those bottles. I have a lot of fun doing those. And these signs came from Michael's, I think. No, some of them came from Walmart. And then up there, there's that spinning game that we got this year. And over here in this little vintage child's cupboard that came from England, I used a few of our vintage pieces in my old silver pieces that hold some of my old sewing notions and so forth, and little knives and that type of thing. I love this little piece of furniture. The little pumpkin head candy guy and the witch, they're vintage. I think this little guy came from Walmart several years ago. And there's just a bunch of our little favorite vintage pieces and my daddy's Buckeye that he carried in his pocket as long as I could remember. Some more old bottles. And more of those awesome little pieces. I took a cloche and put that beautiful mask in it. That little guy light came from a yard sale, of course. And over here, this is my Wizard of Oz display. Some of the Hallmark Wizard of Oz ornaments are on here. Some Shiny Bright. Some Old World. Another Wizard of Oz. And all the Ray Dunn Wizard of Oz collection. And then I was lucky enough, see if you can see it, this pin back. There is Dorothy and Toto. We bought this out of a box of junk. I'm probably 20 years or more. There's one of the books I made last year. But I love this Wizard of Oz display. I'll get you, my pretty. And the reason I didn't take the plastic off of that is because sometimes Cat gets up here and I didn't want him to knock that hat off and break it. And there's the Jim Shore Wizard of Oz witch. And there's the Madame Alexander Wizard of Oz doll. And back there is that wonderful little record we got at that estate sale this summer. Love that little cat tree topper. There's a vintage clock face hanging down there. And there's a pumpkin, wood pumpkin John painted and embellished. And here is that corner shelf that I didn't put in a corner. I didn't have a corner. That is a vintage owl necklace on there. And there is that orange talcum that we got at that yard sale this summer where we bought a lot of tins. More spooky bottles that I made. Second sight potion. Poison ivy. Well, I don't need that. All I need to do is go work in a yard. And I can get that just fine on my own. That dog there belonged to my grandmother and grandfather. So that is way over 100 years old. I meant to decorate this little tree for Halloween, but I just run out of time. And I thought, well, this late, I'm not going to do it because I'll just be taking it down soon. But it does have some awesome ornaments on it all the time. This stays up all the time. All these beautiful ornaments on here came from Merrifield Garden Center from times we went to visit our kids in Northern Virginia. If you live in Northern Virginia, make sure you go to Merrifield for Christmas because they have the most elaborate, most beautiful Christmas trees you will ever see. And yes, I do have a mercury glass snowman still hanging there, but he's so beautiful. I didn't want to put him away. Toll tray and cherubs and statues. And this wonderful garland, you can see it's made of 1,000,000 strips of this beautiful satin fabric. My friend Janet made that several years ago for me. I used it one year on the mantle, and this year I wanted to put it in here, and I think it just looks really pretty there with the light shining on it. More spooky bottles and Halloween plates and all my collections down here. My many, many buttons. And then there are a lot of clock faces right there that I'll use sooner or later. And up on top of that cupboard, of course, there is a Santa lamp and that beautiful Santa that John got me one year for my anniversary. He'll be out soon. It's hard to believe. And like I said, my desk stays a mess. But I'm sure y'all understand. That's my little Paris corner. And there's that print. Another one of those prints we got at Merrifield and then John framed. We found the perfect frame, the old vintage frame for it. And there's that Billy Jacobs we got from a yard sale. And more collectibles above the window. And that gorgeous shelf came from a yard sale years ago. And that cat back there on the right, that is a vintage piece. And I have lights out that I meant to use, but I just run out of time. So they'll just be packed up till next year. John's bank collection is in this cupboard. I'll have to show you that sometime. And it's a couple pieces in there that are not banks, but they're really cute. This is a vintage witch. Her crepe paper has totally gotten flattened out through the year, but I still love it. My little terrier cabinet with all the little terriers, that's right there. And all those sweet little vintage prints. And here's those fantastic drawers we got this year. They're perfect for paper pieces, paper collectibles. And that's another one of the Walmart witches. Little spooky clock I did. And all those jars full of treasures. And John's vintage toy collection. And his big red truck for Christmas. And I've told you before that spinning top, that clown spinning top, was actually mine when I was a little child. So you know it's old. Since I'm 75, I probably was 3 or 4 maybe when I had that. So that is really old. That's probably really valuable. But I'm thrilled that I was able to find it. We found that in my grandma's basement in a closet down there. So I was thrilled to find it. So this is all of the tours. Have a wonderful day. Love and blessings to y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming and watching all of my Halloween tours. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. We'll see you soon. As I said, love and blessings from me and John and baby boy. Till the next time. Bye-bye.